Have you ever wondered what criminals talk about when they think no one is listening? What if I told you the FBI not only listened in, but created the very platform they used to chat? This is the unbelievable true story of Operation Trojan Shield, the biggest law enforcement sting in history. For years, organized crime syndicates around the world relied on a secret weapon: encrypted phones. These weren't your average iPhones or Androids. They were custom-built devices, stripped of GPS, cameras, and microphones, running on a closed network. For a hefty price, criminals could send messages they believed were completely secure, planning everything from drug shipments to contract killings, all hidden from the eyes of the law. Companies like Phantom Secure and Sky ECC dominated this shadowy market, making millions. But when law enforcement started cracking down on these companies, it created a power vacuum. And into that vacuum stepped a brilliant, once-convicted drug trafficker who had an idea for a new, even more secure phone. His name was Hakan Ayik, a notorious Australian gangster, but the idea wasn't entirely his. It was a trap. Working with this insider, the FBI did something audacious. They didn't just crack an existing encrypted network. They built their own from scratch. They called it ANØM. On the surface, ANØM phones looked like any other modified Google Pixel. They promised unbreakable encryption, a secure messaging app, and even a remote wipe feature. They were the perfect tool for the modern criminal. There was just one tiny detail the users didn't know. Every single message sent on an ANØM device was secretly copied and sent directly to an FBI server. The criminals were paying for their own surveillance. The FBI had a master key to their entire world. The plan was genius in its simplicity. To make ANØM seem legitimate, the FBI needed to get it into the hands of high-level criminals. They used their informant, and soon, kingpins and influential gangsters started using and recommending the phones. Trust in the criminal underworld is everything, and a recommendation from a major player was as good as gold. ANØM spread like wildfire through the global criminal ecosystem. From Italian mafiosos to biker gangs in Australia and drug cartels in South America, everyone wanted the new must-have device for secure communication. They had no idea they were all part of the world's largest digital honeypot. For 18 months, law enforcement agencies from over 16 countries, led by the FBI and Australian Federal Police, sat back and watched. They had a real-time, front-row seat to the inner workings of global organized crime. They read over 27 million messages, translated from 45 different languages. They watched as drug deals involving tons of cocaine were planned in shipping containers. They saw photos of cash laundered through casinos. Most chillingly, they even uncovered murder plots, allowing police to intervene and save lives without revealing their source. The criminals had become so comfortable, so arrogant in their perceived security, that they discussed everything openly. They had no idea their private club was being monitored 24/7. The sheer scale of the operation was mind-boggling. To handle the legal complexities, the FBI routed the data through a server in Lithuania, using a specific legal treaty to share the intelligence with partners around the world. Every day, analysts sifted through a mountain of data, identifying key players, mapping out criminal networks, and building irrefutable cases. They weren't just reacting to crime anymore. They were watching it unfold, step by step. They knew the who, what, where, and when of countless illegal operations before they even happened. It was an unprecedented intelligence goldmine. Then, on June 7, 2021, a trap was sprung. In a single, coordinated day of action across the globe, the hammer came down. Police forces raided homes and businesses, making over 800 arrests. The results were staggering. Authorities seized nearly 40 tons of drugs, cocaine, cannabis, amphetamines. They confiscated over 250 firearms, luxury vehicles, and more than $48 million in various currencies and cryptocurrencies. Entire criminal organizations that had operated with impunity for years were dismantled in a matter of hours. The underworld was in shock. The unbreakable phone they trusted had been their downfall. But the story doesn't end there. While Operation Trojan Shield was a massive success, it has opened a Pandora's box of legal and ethical questions. In the aftermath, defense lawyers have argued that the evidence gathered from ANØM is inadmissible. How can you prove who sent a specific message from a device designed to be anonymous? Courts in some countries, like Germany, have already thrown out cases, ruling that the surveillance methods violated privacy laws. This means that despite the overwhelming intelligence, some of the very criminals caught in the sting could walk free on a technicality. This raises a much bigger debate. How far should law enforcement be allowed to go in the name of security? End-to-end encryption isn't just for criminals. It's used by journalists, activists, and everyday citizens to protect their privacy from governments and corporations. Creating a backdoor, even for a good cause, sets a dangerous precedent. If the FBI can do it, who else can? And where do we draw the line between preventing crime and creating a surveillance state where no conversation is truly private? Operation Trojan Shield was a brilliant maneuver that dealt a huge blow to organized crime. But it also forced us to confront some uncomfortable truths about privacy, security, and the future of law in our increasingly digital world. What do you think? Was the operation a stroke of genius or a step too far? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories from the hidden corners of our world.